Hello, and welcome to another episode of From Scene to Cinema. I'm your host, Whitney Howard, and today I want to talk to you guys about festivals, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But before we get into that, I want to update you with some news. Recently, I completed a film, and that film that I completed, I submitted to a bunch of festivals, and they got into some, but I submitted to one in LA, and it didn't get into this one, unfortunately. But it premiered at the Marketplace. It screened there. So I didn't go. I didn't want to go either way. And apparently, some guys who worked at this marketing and distribution company saw my film there, and they contacted me, sent me an email. They said, "Hey, we saw your short film. We liked it. We want to acquire it and distribute it on digital and international and domestic platforms." I said, "Okay, that sounds good." And they sent me a contract. Now, in the contract, it said that I have to pay roughly a $600 setup fee. And I thought that was a little sketchy. And so what I did was I did some research behind that. And I looked them up, and I found out that this setup fee is very common. But what I learned is that in the contract, while I was reading it with a lawyer friend of mine, that it doesn't necessarily illustrate all of what they'll do with the film. And so I thought that was a little sketchy, and I didn't really like or agree with that. And what I found out was that a lot of these short films that they acquire, they'll make you pay the setup fee, and then they'll let it sit on the shelf for 2 or 3 years. Unless your film is an Academy Award-winning film or an Oscar-nominated film, then they'll actually distribute it. But in this case, that's not necessarily what's going to happen. So I decided to turn down the deal. I'm sorry. I can't sign your contract. Should I submit my film to film festival? The answer to that question is yes and no. Film festivals are a great way to get exposure and credibility to your film. However, they can be very expensive. And though it may make sense to submit your film to as many film festivals as possible, it can be very costly in the long run. So all that blood, sweat, and tears that you spent and money you spent on making your film, the real question is, why submit your film to a festival when there's a 50-50 chance that it might get in? Doesn't make much sense. Film festivals are categorized into tiers. So Tier 1 festivals are big name and more competitive festivals like Sundance, Cannes, or Venice. And Tier 2 festivals are a little bit smaller in scale. These include Tribeca, CineQuest, or Telluride. Each tier is categorized by its size, notoriety, and prestige. Last year, 8,161 short films were submitted to Sundance Film Festival, along with 4,057 features. Out of that 8,161, 66 were selected in the short film lineup. Out of that 4,057 features, 119 were selected in the feature lineup. Restating the point I made earlier, to not waste your money on these larger festivals when only a handful of films get selected. Okay, that about wraps it up for the day. Stay tuned for more. In the upcoming episodes, I'll be talking about my latest film called The Invention of Matthias Walden, and I'll be giving you guys a little more insight into that project. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Feel free to pass it along if you can. Also, don't forget to follow me on all the social media platforms. The links are in the description box below. Thank you.